not professional, but whatever.
Where did the goddamn share screen thing go? God. Alrighty. One last check. Check.
Images down here. Boom, boom, boom. Everybody check their mics. Make sure their mic's in the right spot.
Check.
Where would you like my mic to be?
Don't answer that.
Man, so many.
Don't answer.
Places.
That seems like it's
All right. I'm going to start recording.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know, Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John. You know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man.
Yes.
All right. We need to do anything before we get started, or can we just dive into this?
Just do it.
Might as well just do it.
You're listening to episode 240 of PHP Ugly. It's that time of week. Go down in the basement, turn the lights off, break out that old radio, and start tuning in the podcast station and listen to pure PHP happiness and goodness. And then switch over to our show because we have shit to say too. I'm your host, Eric Van Johnson, and with me is John Congdon.
Were you making a reference to that whole intro before we started?
I do off the cuff, and Tom Rideout.
Good evening, gentlemen.
You see, Harry Mack, he puts together these massive rhymes off the cuff, like off the tip of his head. I just come up with like disconnected intros that really don't make any sense.
I thought before we were live you said something about you had your old man intro, and then you went to like old radio.
No. I said I have to hide my old man. I got old man spots. That's why I've started wearing ball caps more. I've got these little old man spots up here now. Like, like when you cut down a tree, you can see how old it is by the rings around the tree. I'm starting to grow those spots up here. Like, he's in his 50s. You see those two spots right there? Yeah. Humans get those.
Note to self. Don't shave my head.
Don't shave your head, man.
Yeah, don't go bald.
How's everybody doing? How's everybody's week?
Good. It's been a good week. I've been refactoring code. It's so nice being able to refactor into something that is testable.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I am a fan of refactoring. That is one of my things I enjoy doing.
You've got to be a fan of testing. You've got to start.
I do. I have no more excuses not to. I have it. I'm gonna get in.
Even if you don't do it TDD, if you get your code working the way you want and then you add your test, it's just nice to have them.
So I did a deep dive back into Livewire, and I have to say, I went back to the videos because I was trying to do something I don't know if I've mentioned this in the past, but I'm a huge fan of Livewire. Have I
Really?
brought this up before? I feel like
No.
maybe I haven't, but yeah, no. This Livewire package for Laravel is just it's just game changing to me. I mean, it absolutely just shifts. I find myself as someone who never considered themselves a front end person, as somebody who never liked doing front end, between Tailwind and Livewire, and then a little Alpine JS, sprinkled around the sides there. I enjoy the challenge of front end work now. And this week, been working with a client who I appreciate very much. They're very hands off. They're like, hey, we know you're like kind of bleeding edge. You like being out there. You do you. You do what you do, and then bring it to me and let me see it. And so I've just been in this zone of Livewire with this application I've been working on. And like I said, not a big front end guy, but I mocked up some front ends, and they were like, "Oh, that looks good." And been making some Livewire components. I mentioned last week or the week before, I've been working on forms, and I've been procrastinating doing the Livewire piece, tying stuff into it. But I worked on that pretty much the end of last week and this week. And it's just, every time I touch Livewire, I'm like, this is black magic. Like, I will sell my soul to keep Livewire going because it is just so beautiful. It's so simple. And
now the question is, can you do testing around Livewire?
So that was going to be my thing. So I had to, I went down the path of a new component that I haven't worked on before, basically file uploads. Never really had a need for file uploads. Never really thought to use Livewire for file uploads. But I'm like, I need to do some file uploads. I'm like, well, let me see what Livewire has, if it has anything, because I just was going to use the basic Laravel stuff. And of course, Porzio has a whole kind of video course on uploads, and he does everything. Everything's tested. So yes, he has testing built into Livewire. So I have no excuse. If you look through like all the completed videos I did this week, like I have a list of like 12 of them completed. I have like 2 that like reference testing that are like empty. Like I haven't touched yet. I'm just like, I ain't got time for this. I'm skipping over that one. But he does testing throughout. I've got to get on board with this testing. I really do. I've really kind of procrastinated on it. But the freaking uploading with Livewire, man, like we talked about how, or I've spoken about how I feel like I'm a better developer when I use Vim because I get lazy when I use PHP Storm. Somebody just posted a blog post about basically the same argument around frameworks, and they specifically called out Laravel for some reason, probably because it's the most popular framework right now. And it was a little bit of that same argument of, this is going to make you a weaker PHP developer if you use a framework. Livewire, like the same thing can be said about it. Like you're going to be a weaker, you're not going to understand JavaScript if you use Livewire. I don't give a shit. Like I don't need to understand JavaScript. Okay. I understand Livewire, and I'm good.
With that mentality, I'm just going to throw this out there. With that thought process in your head, don't do testing. You're gonna find things in your code that you can make better, but then you're gonna think you're a weak developer because you didn't do it that way to begin with. Don't do testing.
No, I'm pretty awesome.
You're gonna have tests passing. You're gonna have tests that find errors for you, but you're gonna be a weaker developer because you didn't know it beforehand. So don't worry about it. Skip the tests.
You ever feel like,
for me, I'm not going to argue that for you.
You ever feel like someone asked you a question just so they could tell you their answer? How's your week been?
Are you saying?
Yeah. Anyways, Livewire. Whoo.
You did kind of steamroll that in there, or crowbar that conversation.
Well, I have been very busy testing and coding and little bits of panicking and and then relaxing, and things have been very good this week. I haven't used Livewire at all, but I have used a lot of Vue 3 and the PHP unit and stuff like that. It's been a very productive week. Been very fun. How about you, Eric?
So,
Did you have a good week?
Oh, was that all the content you had? Was that the most important thing you had where you had to interrupt my entire flow because I had the nerve not to wait for both you guys to do your it was all right.
I'd say you didn't. I would say you didn't wait for either.
I
of
apologize. Whatever.
No, I do want to know more about. You said you were doing some Vue 3. Are you doing like a lot of front end work? Or you just
I'm not doing
dabbling
any
with it?
front end work, but I have to figure out what the front end is doing to call the back end stuff. So there are times when they say, hey, this is the behavior on the front end, but we know it's a back end issue. So I have to dig through the front end code and figure out what the call is and what it's populating the query strings with and stuff like that. So it's not I'm not doing a lot of Vue 3. I'm reading a lot of Vue 3.
Gotcha. I do find that when you are working on a new feature, if you have a front end and a back end person ahead of time, and you come up with that contract of here's what I expect, here's what you're going to send, and you have a back and forth to figure out what's possible, it's a lot nicer just having that already laid out for you. Those contracts in
It
place.
is.
But I take it you don't have that.
I do. I have when we're doing new feature stuff, I do have the front end guy doing the front end thing, the back end being me doing back end stuff, and we have a sort of collaborative thing going on. I'm not sure. We're working on our process still a little bit for how that can be most efficient. We are very focused on efficiency and performance and making sure that things are going as well as possible and testing. Like, I believe we have like 90% code coverage, which is just crazy.
So you're part of a startup, but you're past that get something out there fast. Now you're in the phase of you can write it and write it good. It's not a speed thing at this point.
Right. But we are doing like velocity and burn down and all the management tools for best performance as developers. So we're not focusing on getting it out as fast as possible. We're focusing on quality, but we want to make sure that we're still moving at a good clip.
Sounds like fun, sort of, to a point. So who's responsible for grooming all your tasks?
We have a project manager who is doing that.
Gotcha.
And then we have like bi-weekly meetings where we take all the tasks and assign story points and analyze the requirements and things like that. And we do a 2-week sprint, so our sprint planning session is where a lot of that gets done.
How many? You haven't gone through that many sprints then, right?
I'm on
You
my
haven't been there
second
that
sprint.
long?
I came in
Okay.
in the middle of the first sprint.
We'll have to talk more about that in the future because currently, the team I'm on, we do 6-week sprints and then 2-week cooldowns. Do you have any sort of cooldown between your
Nope.
sprints, or is it just back to back?
It's back to back to back. So anything that's in the old sprint that's not done gets moved into the new sprint and affects our burn down rate.
You might want to talk about introducing something in there. At least every few sprints have some sort of cooldown where it's like, all right, let's take a breath. Like, not be so gung-ho.
Yeah, like have a bug fix sprint or documentation type thing.
Yeah.
I will consider that. See now,
Eric, you're allowed to
now
talk.
he's mad at me. He's
You can come back to the
he's
conversation.
mad. He's not.
No, I'm
rest
not
of the
mad.
episode.
Thomas had things to say.
It's gonna
so
be a thing.
I'm
So-
trying not. Listen, I edit this podcast every week. I know how often I talk over people, and I know how aggravating it is for myself editing the podcast. So I've been trying the last couple weeks to like make sure I'm not talking over top of people and waiting for opportunities to speak. So
Hey,
Yeah.
Eric.
Thomas was very much wanted to talk. So what
Hey,
John?
Eric. Over in Discord, we have a good friend of the show, NS Bucky, is asking how long sprints generally are. But if people wanted to join us in Discord, how would they do that?
John, there's a website they can go to. It's called
A website?
discord.phpugly.com. That will automatically direct them. There's no special like codes or anything we need to pass. Just go to discord.phpugly.com and bada bing, bada boom, it'll take you there.
So, to answer your question about how long sprints generally are, it varies. I mean, if I don't know that there's any sort of standard. I've always heard the 2-week sprints that Tom is doing.
Yeah.
I think our team got the whole 6-week sprint, 2-week cooldown from a base camp release. Like they put out some sort of white paper or something that somebody read a couple years ago and then decided
Wow.
on our team decided, oh,
We
we're
all
going
know
to do
how
that.
I feel about base camp.
Yeah. So there is no like general.
Yeah, there's no standard.
it's up to each
I
team.
think 2 weeks is considered like the shortest sprint length that you should have.
Right.
Sarah's in Discord. She says her sprint lasts is a fortnight.
I've seen sprints go up to a month. I haven't heard of a 6-week sprint, but it's one of those things that you adjust as you go and learn from how quickly you're getting things done or how your bugs are coming in, and it's all management techniques.
It definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely gets you thinking about your tasks a little bit more and trying to break them down into something meaningful. The hard part is getting on the same page about what is considered appropriate for a sprint. So we have some people that think a complete feature needs to start and finish in a
Yeah.
sprint. And that's more the product management people that want that, where the developers are like, no, in this sprint we may be talking about architecture and starting the plan, and then in the next sprint we actually make it work versus get it all done right now.
Yeah, and I think our sprints are different across what you do at the company too. So I'm on the B team, and our team is a 2-week sprint with like a 3-month epic. But
See, I don't do anything with epics. I don't even know what they are.
so for us, epic is what you would consider a feature. So just a full, well-rounded, completely done feature, a very high-level thing, like integrating a new corporate entity in or something like that. So all the,
Oh my God! Can you talk about Bitcoin or something? You sound like fucking project
know.
managers. I can't hold on. To
I'm
it
really,
much longer.
I am
Jesus,
turning into,
say something
I am
interesting.
turning into a project manager, and I kind of don't mind it that much.
Okay, listen. I got Sarah Goldman in Discord, or actually, I don't
Goldman.
know where you. I know.
No D.
Gold, I say gold. I keep saying
She's
gold.
on YouTube,
Gold,
but
she's gold to me.
Sarah Goldfinger.
Sarah, since you're here, you can be honest with us. Let us know. How massively disappointed are you with Ben Ramsey right now? I mean, come on, seriously. We all see it. We all see it. I saw the little email blunder today. We all know about it.
I don't know
Come on,
anything about
tell
this.
us how bad of a job. How bad of a job is he doing? Just make me feel better. Let's go.
all right, what's this email blunder? What are you talking about? I do like how he banned or made his projects incompatible with Diego Labs projects.
Diego Labs. He is evil to the core. Everybody should know this about him by now. He is evil to the core. It is the 10th birthday of Laravel. I saw Rod Joyish.
He's saying don't mention it, and you went and mentioned it. See,
he
now we
said
just lost a listener.
I'm not going to be intimidated by somebody named Rod Joyish. He's not going to come into my Discord and intimidate me. It's the 10th 10-year birthday to Laravel. I mean, it's old enough to drink as far as I'm concerned. What? No? Is that bad parenting?
No,
what?
That's just exhausted parenting.
Speaking of, my kid friggin' turns 7 tomorrow.
That's
crazy.
That is too. That is.
We're going.
You are.
We're going.
You're still in the good times, though. It's not bad. It's not bad yet.
Yeah, that's what you think. Oh my gosh.
Still.
Everything is the end of the world right now.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, he might not be wrong. Let's talk crypto, since Eric brought it up. It's been a crypto week.
I thought Eric wanted to talk about why you should not use Laravel.
Oh,
No. I moved that ticket over for anybody who was interested. I mentioned it already. I mean, we can talk about it. Like I say, I wasn't that moved by the blog post. It's that typical all frameworks are bad sort of.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
So
crypto.
There was this whole Colonial Pipeline hack where they paid it was like 45 Bitcoin to the hackers, which was $4.5 million. And everyone's like, that's crazy, and how could they, and whatever. The government got it back.
Well, not all of it, but yeah.
I thought they got all of it.
Oh, the last I heard, and I just moved my little Trello card over, they'd gotten a majority of it back, but not all of it. So
how did they get it back?
They're not exactly saying. However, they did say that they had seized the servers that this hacker group used. And there was also this other story about a messaging app called Anom, which was designed to look like it was really good for organized crime syndicates to use. And it was super safe and super secure and super encrypted, and it turns out that the FBI made it. Which is kind of a whoopsie for criminal organizations. So it's possible that they've got keys from there, they've got passwords from there, they've got the servers, and so they could have gotten into those and seen what the wallets were and gotten the secret addresses for it, They haven't said, and I don't expect them to say exactly how they got it, but it's nothing like a vulnerability in Bitcoin itself. It's just, this hacker group didn't secure their stuff, didn't take care of it right, or something along those lines.
I thought I read somewhere they had hacked the key for it or something, but I could be wrong there. But you're actually mixing two stories together. That Anonym story is huge.
It is.
I mean, this is like a global crime syndicate bust sort of thing, and I think it really starts to highlight what criminal enforcement is looking like in the cyber age. It's not in our jurisdiction. We can't do anything about it. Yeah, I think global organizations are starting to realize we need to work together. We need to figure this out. I feel like this is probably one of the first steps into law enforcement agencies around the world having a proactive role in finding bad guys in the cyber wires. I was floored by this. I mean, it reminds me of, I'm sure they probably still do it, but I remember growing up as a kid, there was always this people that they were that had like outstanding bail and all this, and they're trying to kind of take him back to jail. They did the whole, hey, you won sneakers or you won concert tickets, come here and pick it up. And it's kind of like that same concept. It's like in the seedy underbelly of the dark web, somebody just said, hey, I created this new encryption app. I'm going to keep it for bad people only. I'm not going to put it on Google and stuff, because I think they had even, I think they were even providing the phones and stuff for this. And I'm sure
there's some lengthy articles about how the FBI garnered trust among the criminal community with this thing, and they basically acted like it was for criminals, and that they were criminals as well. They acted really suspicious in a way that you wouldn't think the FBI would be sophisticated enough to act.
Mm-hmm. So I think that was cool.
Yeah.
But back on Bitcoin, I mean, you guys are all over the place. Nobody's asking me my opinion about anything, but let me go ahead and just kind of throw it out there, seeing how nobody cares.
You're zoomed all the way in.
Did either one of you catch that Bitcoin is now legal tender in El Salvador?
Tender?
Yes.
I did not
So
know
it's
that.
a weird story.
Yes.
It's a weird story because of a lot of things. The first thing being that it's the first officially recognized legal tender, but the way that Bitcoin has been treated in Japan for some time now is as close to legal tender as you can get without a legal declaration. So Japan kind of beat him to it on this. The other thing is that this guy's real weird. The president is a little bit shady, a little bit shifty, a bit of a meme type person. And the final thing is that 20% of El Salvador's income is from money being sent from foreign residents to El Salvador. So it would make sense for them to try and reduce costs for those transactions.
What's another way to reduce costs?
Well, I mean, not managing your own server, for one.
We bring today's podcast to you in cooperation with Cloudways, a managed cloud hosting platform built for your PHP projects. If you simply wish to focus on your business, Cloudways is the way to go. They take over server management and security and free up time that you can dedicate to growing your business and acquiring new clients. Their platform offers you a choice of infrastructure as a service partners, such as AWS, Google Cloud, DigitalOcean, Linode, and Vultr. In addition, you get a performance-optimized stack, managed backups, and staging environment where you can test your code before pushing it to live servers. Best of all, Composer and Git come pre-installed so you can get your projects up and running quickly. All this power, simplicity, and peace of mind falls right in line with their brand slogan, moving dreams forward. Be sure to visit cloudways.com today, sign up using the promo code PHPUgly, and get a $25 credit.
Thank you, Cloudways.
Thanks, Cloudways. All right, Eric, you shared this story, 1Password allowed hackers to disrupt the Colonial Pipeline. I saw that, and my heart sank at first because I read that as 1Password, the company.
Oh, I did too.
Versus a single password. That poor company.
I didn't even think about that.
Oh, if you're not using a password manager, go check out 1Password just because of this bad publicity they just got.
You know, whoever named 1Password, they're like, oh, we're going to call ourselves 1Pass, because that's all you need is just a 1Password. Then something like this happens.
So the link that Eric shared, 1Password allowed hackers to disrupt the Colonial Pipeline, is basically the CEO of this company went in front of the senators, right? In front of
they had a Senate hearing,
yeah, and said that they didn't have two-factor. A single password into a legacy VPN allowed hackers to get in and completely screw things up. But it was just the title of that story just had me going, what?
That's strange.
So I had some cool things.
That's strange to me because they the hackers would have had to know that this was a legacy system that didn't have authentication past the VPN.
Why would they have to know that versus just trying?
Because the article here makes it clear that it was a complicated password. It was not a simple thing you could guess. It was numbers, letters, characters, symbols, the whole nine. So a brute force on that would be very difficult. And to decide to brute force a line like that you don't know where it goes and you don't know what access it has, so they would have had to have some information from either a phishing attack or a document leak first. So, I mean, they say it's one password, led to this open system, but really, they had to get that password from somewhere. I'm sure that they did a far more sophisticated attack to get there.
Yeah, but it was still a single
I wouldn't
password
give
at
too
the end
much
of the day.
credit. Yeah, I wouldn't give them too much credit.
But
I mean,
they're broke. Who
see
trusts broke people?
Some people that answer emails, it's kind of like, hey, I just started. I don't have access to the VPN. What's the password? Something stupid.
Yeah.
And somebody's just like, oh.
we had that. We talked about it on the show. Back when we had a personal assistant, my daughter worked for Diego Dev for a while. We had somebody email her impersonating John, the CEO,
Yes.
and said, basically, hey, I don't have access to my email account. I'm using a friend's email or something. I need you to go buy some Apple gift cards
For a client.
Yeah, for a client. And I mean, it honestly seems like something feasibly a small business would do. And of course,
Right. I left my laptop at the
my
airport.
kid,
I can't get online right now. How do I,
Right. So, she came to me. She goes, hey, I got a weird email from John, and shared it with me. So she had done the right things. And of course, I proceeded to go completely overboard, setting up fake approval forms for them to go fill out. And, I think it led to my daughter talking to who she thought was John in the email about their out of wedlock baby because he was married, and I mean it just got hysterical.
You can't. Yeah, you don't want to
But,
tempt Eric with a bad time because he'll take it.
But the thing about it is, whoever they were on the other end stuck with it. No matter what we sent them, we sent them, hey, you got to go and approve it on this form. They went and approved it. Then, my daughter started talking about, are we going to tell your wife about our affair? This baby's coming, blah, blah, blah. They just kept playing. I'll get back to that when I get back in town. I'm like, it's just, but it's that simple, right? It's just a matter of them just keep asking, and eventually somebody's going to break down. Somebody's going to misstep. Somebody's going to be tired. And just say, fine, here's the email, here's the password, whatever you need. So yeah, I'm not going to give them a lot of credit. But I did want to talk about a couple things since everybody's asking me, what I'm working on. I did take some time this week and shared with John my new workflow with Vim and Tmux, and I was curious if he had any thoughts or opinions of it, because you really didn't say much when I showed it to you.
Zoom was muted. I was trying to talk to you. All in all, I thought it was really cool. I liked the layout, the Tmux sessions, being able to kill the Tmux server, reconnect, get all your windows back the way you had them. Vim workspaces, is that what they're called?
Workspaces, yeah.
Was really interesting to me because I'm so used to, if your Vim crashes, you have the swap files and it's a pain in the ass to get back up and running. He showed me that if you're in the middle of editing a file and you kill your Tmux session, when you go back into Vim, it puts all your panes and all the files you were working on back into the buffers, but it doesn't give you that warning. But if you do it in a separate session or a second time, it does know that it's a second connection and still gives you that warning saying, hey, this file's being edited by whoever, and what, gives, still makes it where you're not editing the same file in two places, which was amazing to me. So
Yeah, so I brought that up for a reason. So I'm glad you liked it. Uh, the one thing I showed John is that I have multiple Tmux sessions now. So I don't just have one Tmux session with a bunch of windows and panes open. I have multiple Tmux sessions of multiple windows with multiple panes on them. So I create a Tmux session basically for my overall stuff, my Diego dev work, my work, all that goes into one. I have clients that go into each, each have their own different session. And then I usually have a session for what I would run like other processes on. Like if I was running a long running bot, or the one thing I always did was my ngrok for SSH. So I say all that because to show John all that, I had my terminal open for about 2 weeks now, and by the time John got on, and I had a ridiculous amount of windows open, a ridiculous amount of panes. I mean, like every time I was doing a code review or working on a project, it would become its own window in a session somewhere. So I had Vim sessions going for like 6 or 7 projects, and I was just bouncing around between them. My hand never left the keyboard. I'm just like bouncing around. It was glorious. It was beautiful. But I thought, okay, this is a cool time to show John this, and I wanted to show him that if I kill my Tmux server, obviously everything goes away. And I was a little nervous because I hadn't done it in a long time. So I killed the server, and then I start it back up, and everything goes back, but it doesn't launch processes. So like I had to go into all those Vim projects, and I had to relaunch Vim. And the big thing I didn't do, and I totally forgot to do it, is I didn't get my ngrok SSH going. And I forgot about it because I don't do a lot of remote work anymore. And of course, I'm out of the house, and I'm like, I tell the wife asked me if I could drive him somewhere. I'm like, yeah, if you don't mind if I work in the car, it's going to take you about an hour for this appointment. I'm going to work in the car. And she was like, yeah, no problem. So I drive him, and I grab my iPad because I love this freaking workflow. Because in my head, I'm thinking, I got everything. I connect to my machine. I connect to my Tmux session, and everything's right there. I don't miss a beat. Of course, I forgot to start the SSH server, right? So this led me to when I got home, because I was frustrated. When I got home, I'm like, all right, that's it. Either I'm going to make this a service, which you can do, but I use ngrok with clients in a couple of websites, and I have multiple sites configured in my ngrok configuration. So I will call up separate configurations. If you run ngrok as a service, you can only have one configuration in that file. I'm like, that just doesn't work for me. So somebody in our Discord channel, again, if you're not familiar, discord.phpugly.com, somebody in our Discord channel a long time ago had suggested a service from Cloudflare called Argo, not Argus, the awesome web-based cron monitoring system, Argus.to, not that, Argo. And I played with it for a little while. I got the web stuff working without issue. It was super simple. But at the time, I thought I couldn't get the SSH stuff working. So I took another crack at it, and I figured out what I was doing wrong. And basically, I just wasn't reading all the instructions. But now, it is so cool. And John, when I tell you this, you're going to want to do it. I'm telling you right now, you're going to want to do it. So the way it works is in Cloudflare, to use SSH, first off, you have to use their little application. It won't allow you to, like, once you get it all set up, you still can't SSH to it with just straight SSH. You've got to proxy your requests through their application because it does all this key management and all this other crap. So that's one step. So that initially was a problem, right? Because there was no way for me to set that proxy up for that SSH connection on my iPad with the app I used, which is called Terminus or something like that. Not a huge deal. In case you didn't know, John and I have a company called Diego Dev, and we have several servers out there. And I actually have a server that's allocated just for work stuff, like just internal apps and things that people in the company take advantage of. So I actually installed the Cloudway client on there, Cloudflare client on there, and that just becomes my jump box. So when I need to SSH back here, I just jump to that box, and then I do my SSH here, and it works great. And the really cool thing about it, the totally awesome thing about it that I got for free, I didn't even realize. I'm like, what is this access thing that they have here? What is this? So the way I have it, of course, we don't allow password authentication. I've never allowed password authentication through SSH. It's always been through keys. The problem with that, and I'm guilty of this, I don't rotate my keys nearly as much because it's a pain in the ass, because then you got to get it on all your other servers. And by the time you've done that with your old key, and you got your new key on, you've got to rotate keys again. It's just a pain in the ass. So I definitely don't rotate keys as much as I want. It's always been like a pain point for me. I've always had this idea that I would create the script that ran through my SSH config file and rotated keys for me automatically. Whole different story. But what this allowed me to do is it allowed me to set up two-factor authentication. So when I go to SSH to my machine here on my desktop, Cloudflare interrupts it and says, hey, you have an access rule set up on this that says only people with diegodev.com email addresses can access this SSH point. And you have to give me your email address, and I'm going to send you a code, and then I'm going to send you a link, and when you click on that link, I'll allow you in. I'm like, what? Like, I have two-factor authentication on my SSH now, and I didn't have to do anything on my desktop? That was awesome. So I am so stoked. I'm a little bummed that I have to use a jump box, but, that's not very, like, we work with one of our clients. We work on these, like, very secure government systems that's the only way you can get to them anyways, the jump boxes. And even when I worked in the enterprise, that's how we had things set up. There was because it allows you to reduce that attack vector to a certain IP and allows you to focus on who's allowed to get in. So it's not this absolutely terrible thing that I have to do this little jump box. I wouldn't mind skipping it if I could, but yes, not only did I set it up on my desktop, but I'm like, fuck it, man. I'm going to set it up on my Raspberry Pi, too. So I have my Raspberry Pi. I can SSH to that now. I can SSH to my desktop. I have the web stuff set up. It's fantastic, man. I can't wait to actually have to need it. It's great.
You want to know what I took away from that entire conversation right there? That ngrok has a configuration file.
Yes, ngrok has a configuration file, and you should be using it because it allows you to set up.
I have a shell script that I run where I run the script, and then I say what my subdomain is and then what domain I'm acting as.
Mm-hmm. So, that's exactly what this does.
So it's like I have to remember those things versus a single tunnel name.
Yeah. I can share with you.
I pulled it up while you were talking because I knew it was going to be a bit. So I'm like, oh,
what? You knew it was going to be a bit? That's good stuff, man. That's good information.
No, it really was. That is. See, I don't do enough remote work. I haven't done any remote work yet where I've done it from my desktop. Mm-hmm. So I still need to try that all out. Yeah, but at the same time, I'm not using Vim. I'm using PHP Storm, which makes it a little more tricky.
Oh, and that's the other thing I did. Damn it. So I was on week 3, I think, of just Vim, and the file upload Livewire piece I was talking about. I finally broke down today. And went back to or no, maybe it was yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. I went back to PHP Storm yesterday, and it turned out I didn't even have to. I'm trying to do something. I'm following these documents. This client likes to use a spotty package for file uploads. I forget what it's called. Some spotty package for file uploads. And I'm reading through it, and like I said, I was debating whether or not to even use Livewire for file uploads. And then I caught a glimpse of the fact that this spotty package had a Livewire component to it. I'm like, oh shit. Well, why would I use that? So I go to implement it. And of course, it's not auto-completing or anything. I'm like, it's complaining. I'm like, oh yeah, I know, I understand. You don't understand Livewire. I get it. But it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work at all. I'm like, man, I'm really hosed here. Like, I'm doing something drastically wrong, and I can't figure out what it is what I'm thinking. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. I'll fire up PHP Storm. So I fire up PHP Storm, and it's wigging out as well. It's not happy. Well, it turns out this spotty file upload package has a free and pro version. And I was reading the documentation for the pro version that I guess had this Livewire component, and the free one doesn't. And so it wasn't that I was doing it wrong or wasn't following instructions correctly. It wasn't there in the version I was using. So then I was like, I felt dirty. I'm like, oh damn, I used PHP Storm and I didn't have to. Now I am considering, since I showed you my workflow on Tmux and all that, I am considering trying to duplicate that in Storm just to see like how clunky it feels. Like, it feels so clunky to me. You know, even over the last 2 days of using it, it's like, this is so frustrating. I can't believe how many times I had to reach for my mouse to do something. But I'm still thinking about like basically doing the same thing, like just doing a whole screen of PHP Storm and never leaving PHP Storm. Like, how long can I do that? How well can I manage multiple projects? I don't feel like it's going to be very good. I don't feel like it's going to be a good experience at all. But I should give it a shot, because
yeah, I do that. I do have multiple Storm windows open for different projects, bouncing back and forth. But there are times where I reach for my mouse. Not that often. I have enough of my keystrokes now where I don't need to.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm trying to get better with my jumping too. Like, you're always complaining about the relative lines I have. And I'm trying to leverage those now, and I can't believe it's taken me this long. Like, I always knew they were there, and every now and then I would try to use them. But now I'm trying to force myself to always use them, because I move around so much quicker. Like, if all I do is do the relative line jump and then do F, whatever I'm looking for, to do it, the XY movement, I just cut my time down so quickly.
See, I don't know what that relative movement is, but for me, you've got the relative lines of, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 up, 1, 2, 3, 4 down versus 100, 101, 102. And I'm like, I just do colon 101. I'm at that line. I don't have to go 6J to
but
figure
see,
out how to get there.
6J is 2 characters. 106 colon 106 is 4 characters.
We're
plus
at
your
this
energy.
part of the conversation where it's about saving 3 characters.
But when I'm screen sharing with you
all day long,
when I'm screen sharing with you, I can't say go to line 105 because I don't know what line number it is. I'm looking at relative lines.
Hey, listen, I'm sorry. I'm not going to have my workflow so it's compatible with your crippled ability to be able to give instructions. I'm sorry. You know what's not a crippled ability? Knowing what's going on with your application, John.
How would you do that?
And we have another sponsor who very generously does that for free. You should go sign up today, honeybadger.io. They'll sit there and they'll tell you what's going on in your application and let you know when things go sideways.
Honey Badger transforms you into a DevOps hero by combining error, uptime, and cron monitoring into a single easy-to-use platform. Stop wasting your time tailing logs and deploy with Swagger. Visit honeybadger.io today to level up.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Honey Badger.
That was a great
That's
segue,
a
Eric.
beast of a segue.
That's what I do, man.
You guys, you guys have any downtime this week? Any outages?
I was not affected by it.
I wasn't affected at all, and I woke up in the morning. I turned on the news. That was the first story on there. I just rolled my eyes and been like, "Oh,
Wait,
fuck! It's gonna be one
what
of those
was the
days."
first story? I don't know what you're talking
Fastly. So on Tuesday, the internet service provider Fastly had an outage caused by a bug in their system that had been there for a couple weeks, but was triggered when one user changed their configuration. This brought down...
I so badly want to know more about this bug and how, like...
Yeah, me too.
They're promising transparency, but what does that mean? What did that user change, and how is that a bug that caused this? First of all, who is Fastly?
Fastly is one of the big providers out there. They provide what? Reddit, Shopify, New York Times, big companies. They are a sort of a backbone CDN provider thing. They don't host everything, naturally. Oop, let me get my stories up here.
But I think they mostly affected the East Coast, from what I understand.
Yeah, so they...
East Coast of the United States.
Big impact on the East Coast. And at the sort of prime morning business hours, GitHub, Wayfair, New Relic. When New Relic goes down, that's bad news. Imager, Kickstarter.
Which, you say it's bad news. I rely on New Relic daily. Like, it's a monitor of sites. It's a big piece of the infrastructure, but I didn't know anything about this until later Tuesday when I saw our team talking about it in Slack.
Well, how would you know that your uptime indicator was down?
By my downtime indicator indicating it was up.
And I think the most appropriate, correct thing I heard about this after it happened was now we're all going to have to go through meetings about how we can create redundancy from these CDNs that can go down sometimes.
We hear that from our clients every time AWS has a blip. If they have a 2-second blip, it's how do we prevent this?
Well, you use AWS. It's the end.
Yeah, no, we give them the cost. We give them the cost, and then they're like, "Yeah, no, we can live with it. It's all right.
We can spin up our own CDN on multiple backplanes and have a load balanced system operating internationally if you'd like."
We have talked, and we haven't gone down that road of having a disaster recovery plan of how do we take everything off of AWS and duplicate it somewhere else in the fastest time possible.
Which
the more we're there, the more of a problem it is, because we're taking advantage more and more of their services. Like these services, they have like Elastic Beanstalk and S3 obviously, but there's a lot of S3 clones, not clones, but other services out there that actually use the S3 driver, so that's not so bad. But it's just the other things in the workflow that we're taking advantage of.
All the auto scaling and just all those pieces, code deployment.
Well, and I think the old story is still true, that the fastest way to spin up a new server on a new provider is to put someone on a plane holding the server in their lap and have them deliver. Your transfer speeds between two physical locations is never going to be faster than just putting somebody on a plane with a hard drive.
Mm-hmm. So, John,
it's true, except for the. I was going to say it's true, except for the fact that when you're talking about AWS, it's not a single hard drive. I mean, the main client I work on is up to like well over 100 instances. So trying to get that configured and all straightened out would be a nightmare. All right, Eric, what are you gonna say?
So I wanted to circle back around on the PHP Storm conversation because I'm not done talking about that. So like you saw in my Tmux session, I had like four or five Vim instances running with different projects open, some internal projects, some client projects, some stuff that we've like Argus.to, the easy to use online crowd monitoring service. I had all that stuff open. So are you saying that when you do that with PHP Storm, you open new PHP Storm windows for each one?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Ooh. Have you ever now? So you're starting to show your privileged status here. have you ever seen how much processing it takes? God damn! I mean, fortunately, we have very big machines, so I don't notice it with the one window I run. I can't. I assume I won't notice it with 3 or 4 windows. But I got a glimpse of the resources that PHP Storm was using with one project open, running, not doing anything special, and I saw the resources it was using. I'm like, oh my God, how did I even use this on my laptop? It's like, it just seemed crazy how much it uses.
No, I agree, and I don't know what I would do if I didn't have a great desktop with great RAM in it.
Right. Like I said, it's not really an issue for us. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I don't know, man. That just feels so bulky to me. So you have all those windows, and you just.
I mean, I don't have a lot of them, and usually I'm really quick about. I have a max 2 or 3 at a time.
Gotcha.
Usually it's one. I will open up a second or third one to do some work. For the last week, because of what I've been working on, I've had 2 open constantly. But usually I use my open recent project, open something I need to work on. Mm-hmm. I'll do a quick PR, whatever I need to do, and then I close it because I'm done with it.
So that's the other question. Do you use the all of the Git stuff and terminal and everything in Storm?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
See, that's the bulkiest. Like the commit stuff, the Git stuff is what drives me nuts in Storm. It's
really?
So clunky to me, especially now that I use lazy Git. Like it's crazy. Like today when I was using PHP Storm, I was still dropping down to the terminal and using lazy Git to do my commits. Yeah, it's icky. I don't like it, and I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to put a good interface on what some people have trouble managing, and I think for those people they've done a good job because it is very, like if you use your mouse and you click and it works well. But they're weaker developers. No,
but I'm not understanding what lazy Git is giving you that I'm not getting.
It's not giving me anything you're not getting but speed and efficiency. I mean, lazy Git is just so fast, and it's all terminal.
See, VS Code is crazy fast.
But same with PHP Storm. I'm just using keystrokes as well. Control KK gives me my commit window. I type my commit message and I'm done.
So I use my mouse and I click on the Git button. Is that bad?
Yeah, you do KK. It opens up your Git because I actually have I have my fugitive things mapped to it. So I have the keystroke mapping to pull the stuff up. I can never do the commit and push. That never fucking works for me. I don't know why. And then it never seems like it lands on the right window for me either. Like I'm always having to like move the window, like grab my mouse and click in the commit message so that it goes to the commit message. But it's like things like that just break my flow. Like when I'm in the zone coding and I get tripped up with having to fucking click my mouse to click to do the submit and commit and push. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, why can't I just get that to go?
For me, I make my changes. I do my Control KK. It brings up the window. I'm still in Vim mode. I hit S because it highlights the previous commit message. S to substitute type, and I think it's Option P to do a commit and push versus just a commit.
Option P or Option Alt P. All right,
Yeah.
I'll have to try that one.
Yeah.
Alt P.
Yeah.
So
you're
still with VS Code there, Tom.
It is.
That's doing
dude,
it for
is
you.
Kicking ass. It is so nice.
But he still doesn't have the Vim bindings, so it doesn't count.
Yeah, no, I still like my mouse. I think that the advancement in technology 70 years ago was a good one, and I prefer to adapt it.
It hasn't advanced any sense.
Are you kidding?
I mean,
mine uses a laser to take
better.
a picture 10,000 times a second. Mine has 2 scroll wheels.
I don't need 10,000 times a second. I have my keyboard. That's where the magic happens. The goddamn keyboard.
The magic happens in your hands, no matter what the tool is you're using. It's in your hands. Okay.
Easy. You don't know what's been in my hands lately.
My mouse has a button that switches modes between scrolling types. I can have a magnetic scroll or a smooth scroll.
Child.
I have a gesture button that can just mute you with a single click.
I got a gesture.
That whole like quick scroll thing. The number of times I just flick the scroll wheel and then end up hitting like Alt Tab or something, then I'm like.
Or you go up to your tabs in your browser window and all of a sudden you're like.
It's like, oh yeah, it's still spinning. I should stop.
Well, it detects how quickly you're spinning and it switches modes automatically. So if I scroll slowly, I get the clicky scroll, but if I try to scroll quickly...
listen, I'm not going to have a big fucking conversation about your scrolling mouse, okay? I was trying to entertain you for a little while, but you're boring
You're
the
right,
shit out
let's
of
go back to
me.
Tmux.
I mean, if we want to be efficient, sure, we can talk about
Do you guys do API documentation generation, like automated stuff?
Didn't you ask that last week?
I've been using it a ton lately, and I really like it.
You still using the same product?
Yeah, we're using Scribe. And
Scribe?
Is it using OpenAPI?
That link. Can you throw that link in the show notes, please? Because
behind the scenes, is it using the OpenAPI specification?
Yes, I believe so. Here you go, Eric. It's in the show notes now.
So, funny story. Last week, before the show, and John knows this because John was helping me a little bit. I was trying to. So, over the years, I've written scripts to automate pieces of the show. The big one I have is the show notes. I have a script that puts together show notes for me now, which was a huge pain in the ass. But last week, I started working on the script to do the pre-show stuff, like we create a new list in Trello. I have to change titles and restream. I have to create a session in Zencaster. All these little things that I have to do every week. So I started doing that, and the show note in the bot, the PHP bot that runs in our Discord, are dependent on a couple of knowns. And basically, the big known is that in Trello, the last list created will be a representation of the current show. So when I do the show notes, it says, okay, give me the last list that you created, grab everything out of there, there's your show notes. The bot does the same thing. As we're moving things around in Trello, the bot's watching what the most current list is, and every time we move a card into that current list, it says, okay, I'm going to put this in Discord. Well, last week, I'm like, I noticed that the bot wasn't writing anything in Discord. And I've had little bugs in the bot before, and I'm like, there's something wrong with the bot. I'm not going to really worry about it. But then I went to do the show notes, and it didn't do any show notes. And I realized that as I was testing my pre-show script, I had created the list for the show that day, but I continued testing. And I continued creating lists, and then I would just archive them. Like, yeah, we're not going to use those. I already have this. So both the bot and the show notes didn't get it. Well, I'm like, you know what? Nobody ever fucking reads the show notes. I don't care. Nobody's ever read the show notes. The next day, I get a message in Telegram. Hey, man, I'm looking for a link, and you have no show notes. I'm like, son of a bitch! Are you serious? And it was that link they were looking for. I'm like, come on!
You noticed that Trello got bad the last 2 weeks, right? Or 3 weeks?
What do you mean?
If you scroll through our Trello board, you'll notice a sudden change in all of our links.
Yeah, the picture stopped. Eric mentioned that today.
Yeah, and so I think Jira changed over what Trello is to a thing called workspaces, like Jira workspaces. And they're trying to premium plus some of the free features, which I find annoying.
Considering they were a company years ago that we don't want your money. Don't try to give us your money. We're not going to take it. We're not going to.
I mean, that's smart.
This is a free thing.
You know, $1 billion, I'm sure. But yeah, and then there's this like create from templates, and there's all this stuff. I just don't. It looks almost the same, but it just starts acting differently. Don't like it.
Come on, they've got a calendar power up.
I have a client that uses Trello, and I guess they pay for it, and it has a pretty cool feature that I'm like, damn, I almost want to pay for that. It's nothing we'd use for the show, but what they have is a list, so that like backlog list, for example, that's a pretty common list that we use, and we're using it with this client. There's a backlog list, and what it'll do is like the start of each day, it'll go through the backlog list and reorganize the cards so that the oldest thing is on top, or you can do it at the bottom, however you want to do it. But like, it gives you some abilities. What was the other one? The milestones. So it was watching the milestone list, and as I forget what that one was doing, but like it had a little bit of that Zapier, if this then that feel to it, where it's like, okay, watch this list, and then if this happens, do this action, sort of thing. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. What do we got?
So you're using it as a project management tool?
Yes. Yep. We are. It's okay.
We've got way too many project management tools out there.
Yeah. We definitely, and then none of them work. I mean, the best thing we found working for us at Diego Dev is just using the GitHub stuff, which has like the Trello board layout as well. Like you can do these Trello things. Everybody has my to-do list. Todoist, Todoist, has this now as well. Like you can create to-dos in your list, and then you can switch it to this Trello board format. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm still using that too, and getting better at using it.
We use all of the Atlassian products. So all of our project management is just sort of like this chain of executions. It just goes from the project management, or not even that, from like the design, the UML designs in Atlassian, all the way to deployment with them. So our path is pretty nicely streamlined. I'd like to show it to you guys someday.
Is there a lot of mouse clicking involved?
There is.
Asking for a friend.
I'll see if they have a Vim mode for project management.
See if they have Vim mode. Everything good has Vim mode.
Our good friend Nikita Popov has released a read-only properties RFC. This is a modifier to a.
Did not read it though.
It's a modifier to a class property that marks it as read-only. This is on initialization, where you declare it during the construction, and then any further attempt to assign it will fail. It will say, this has been assigned already, throw an exception.
Do you think this will pass?
Do you feel that? Yeah. Do you feel this is useful?
Yes.
I think it's useful. And I think actually I might be wrong about doing it during the constructor. I think you might be able to set it.
No, it's during the constructor. You're right.
Oh, his examples are in the constructor.
I think the last one is not. There's a getter that checks if. Well, I'm not sure. I mean, there's a lot of work in here. It is a long RFC for something you would think is just short. I think it'll pass because it's Nikita, man. I mean,
that was my
dude
point.
gets his way.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
if you're a subscriber to PHP Architect magazine, I am in the midst of an interview with Joe Watkins, who is the veteran release manager for PHP 8.1. Pretty sure he's unhappy with his people, but that's not the topic of this interview. He talks a lot about his bus blog post. We talked about it on the show a couple shows back of the concerns of how much institutional knowledge is really not spread out within the PHP internals team, that there's some very key components of PHP internals that only a few people have a true understanding of. And so we're kind of expanding on that blog post, and it's been interesting. We're doing like an email interview, so we're not actually talking. Something about he doesn't like me. I'm not sure exactly, but he's it's good. It's going to be good. So if you're a subscriber to PHP Architect, this will be Community Corner for next month. If you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing. It's a great resource.
Speaking of subscribing, Sevi, thank you for subscribing to our Twitch stream.
Yahoo!
We're up to like 3 people now. Awesome. Eric, so the read-only property is going to be great for immutable classes. Like if you write some sort of immutable object, it's going to be perfect for that. Doing a lot of DTOs where you've set it, but it's really just to transfer data somewhere else. You don't want that data to change afterwards. So
yeah, and a lot of people complain about immutability in PHP as it is, specifically with dates. Date variables are supposed to be immutable, but they're not.
this isn't going to change that, obviously, but
No, but with Carbon, it could, you could see a new version of Carbon date handler coming out that is an immutable date handler.
they already have it. Carbon immutable.
Yeah, see? Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I use, especially in all my tests. Is I don't use Carbon directly anymore. I basically use Carbon immutable. There's no reason not to.
It's interesting because this read-only property means that you can't change the variable, but you can change the contents of the variable. So the example that he gives here is if you have a new read-only object with the parameter or the property of foo, you can change foo. You just can't change which object it is.
I'm confused on that. What do you mean?
So I have object A and object B. A is read-only. So I assign A to a read-only variable. I can't assign B to the same read-only variable. But I can change the properties of A as a read-only variable, because it just means you can't change the variable's pointer.
Which example are you looking at?
There's no line numbers here, but read-only properties do not preclude interior mutability. Objects or resources stored in read-only properties may still be modified internally.
Gotcha. Okay. So you can't set it from outside, but from inside you can.
No, you can set it from outside. You just can't change the read-only value. The read-only points at an object, not the contents of that object. So the object doesn't become immutable. The object is still mutable.
I mean, that makes sense. If you set an attribute to a mutable object, you can still change that mutable object.
Right.
You're not guaranteeing that because you're now in your first class is immutable doesn't mean that everything within it is immutable.
Right.
That makes sense.
And then he covers...
Because it's just, at that point, it's just pointers to objects. That'd be impossible to track.
This covers inheritance as well. You can't override a read-write property with a read-only property through inheritance. Has to match the signature. It's interesting stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on in this.
Yeah. What I saw you share something about the Xdebug update for May 2021.
Yes. Derek Rathens is doing his monthly update of Xdebug, still talking about Xdebug Cloud, stuff like that. The big thing is 8.1 support, and the big drum roll is support for fibers in Xdebug.
Hopefully not next week, but 2 weeks from tonight, I might be able to have a whole discussion about information about Xdebug Cloud. I think.
Really?
I think next Friday, we're trying to get him to do a talk for a group of developers.
That'll be interesting because I know very little about it.
Yeah.
Don't worry, John's not going to invite either one of us.
No.
These are just the developers he actually respects.
It's funny because it's true. You said it, not me.
It's an interesting update because he basically just says like, "Hey, I'm trying to raise $2,000 a month on Patreon or GitHub sponsors, and I'm halfway there. So thanks to everyone for helping, and let your company know that if they use Xdebug, they should give me money for being so damn helpful." But there's not a lot of updates besides saying 8.1 brings a lot of stuff in that I haven't gotten to yet, enums specifically. And he spoke with the developer of PHP Debug Adapter for Visual Studio Code. And they
here we go, Visual Studio Code conversation.
They said they had a bunch of issues they wanted to address, and they brought him up to Derek, so he's working on that. Specifically, there's a protocol feature that makes Xdebug include information about the breakpoint that was hit. So not just hitting a breakpoint, but saying like, where did I come from before this? Which
Is that in the stack trace?
That's cool. Well, the stack trace is a generated trace. When you hit a breakpoint, you don't generate a stack trace. So this is something similar to that, but on a per breakpoint basis. At least that's my understanding. Speaking of things,
I'm very confused by that.
Speaking of things that are my understanding,
I like how you just like, I'm gonna get past this conversation because I don't know the answer.
I talked about pointers in C last week, and everything I said was correct. However, I could have been more specific in that I was incorrect on most of the things I said.
What?
It was brought to my attention that I was referencing the void star pointer types, but there is type casting in C, so it is not necessarily the nightmare that I described to Eric in our conversation. it is a whole different kind of nightmare that does support typecasting.
You don't have to worry about Tom. I rarely listen to you.
I know. But you know who you should listen to?
So,
Our Patreons,
Patreons.
our patrons.
Patreons on Patreon.
You gave me some interesting information about our patrons this week.
Oh, I forgot to clean up the list. We don't have a new Patreon. Patreon. I gotta clean up that list.
You can be new for 2 weeks.
What did I say? What?
That our current patrons have been Ugly Family for a year. All of our current patrons have been Ugly Family. We've had no cancellations of patrons.
Well, now that you brought it up, everybody's
Yeah, thanks, Tom.
Clearly, people aren't checking their bank statements. Go check your bank statement. Make sure you're not still giving us money.
Oh God.
We did have a very transparent conversation, or at least Eric did, about patron money in the Discord channel, talking about how we split it up and how we handle tax and stuff. And the answer there is we don't split the money up. We agreed some time back that any money that comes from patrons or sponsors or anything like that is turned back around and goes into the show. So we have shirt designs and stickers and keychains and all sorts of stuff that we're working on that go out to our lovely fans,
not fans,
patrons,
listeners. Yes, no listeners. We're trying to
tolerance.
do stuff we're trying to put some stuff together for everybody, like anybody who wants something. Now we're gonna start leaning into the whole Uggo theme a little bit. That came up.
It's
so
a
for the
close
record,
to home for me.
For the record, stickers were ordered today. They're going directly to John, who already has the keychain. So we're moving. We're definitely getting the Patreon reward packages out, but we're looking to do things for everybody. For existing patrons, we're looking to do some stuff for anybody who wants something. We're trying to come up with some stuff. Obviously, that's always been the thing, like the stickers and stuff, even the keychains. Like if I had keychains at a conference or something, and somebody came up to me and said they listen to the show, I give it to them. Yeah, I mean it's not that valuable of a thing really, but we do try to carry those things around with us. Or if somebody just asks, say, hey, is there any chance I can get something? We try to get them to you. So we are doing that. John, I didn't get feedback from you on the new stickers. So I did order the existing stickers that we have.
I went to go to that and I didn't have Dropbox open or something. I forget what happened.
They're not. I'm not real happy with them, so I need to come up with something better. But yeah, we're getting some stuff out. But yeah, I'm glad you caught that, Tom, and you agreed with it for the most part. I don't want to get too deep into this. But
the red,
like even John,
the red light's on. You know what that means? It's doom and gloom time.
Eric was just about to say something.
Jesus Christ! Are your headphones on? I'm trying to get deep here. I'm trying to have a conversation with listeners and you. Oh look, he's upset now. Now he's not going to talk.
The green light is on. That means I'm done interrupting.
I don't know what to do here. I tried. I honest to goodness try, and it just doesn't work. So, anyways, as far as the money goes, right? Like, I'm only bringing this up because it was a topic. It's a topic that came up, and we do. John and I again run a shop here. We have developers, we have employees we pay, and we try to give bonuses when we can. So the whole thing with, at least for me, from my perspective, I don't know about John. I can't speak for him. Who knows what that guy thinks sometime. But for me, like the whole idea of starting a business, my goal was, if I can pay myself the same amount of money I would make working for someone else, then why wouldn't I do that? So we achieved that goal fairly quickly, and we've been fortunate enough to be able to now pay other people in the community, friends we've had, people we've followed, where we have a good amount of them where it's their full-time job as well. So I'm extremely proud of that. My point being, I never expected to get rich doing this. Like we don't have, we have a couple products out there like Argus.to I've mentioned a few times, but I don't have this anticipation of, well, I'm going to be a millionaire in the next 5 years. I want to make a nice living for myself and my family. And the more people I can take along for that ride, the better. And we've been very fortunate. Mm-hmm. So John and I run our business pretty razor thin. And I felt so bad this week because, like, one of our most key people that are, that's been with us for a very long time, they've topped out where we're at right now. And we're John and I are always trying to figure out creative ways of bringing in more income. It's like, we're not afraid of money. Like, we're not shying away from money. Matter of fact, we're hiring right now, which is something else I haven't brought up. I'll share that link in the show notes as well. We are hiring. If you're a PHP developer, we've got some good applicants out there, so we are hiring out there. But it's like we run so razor thin that we get to this point where, like, we literally can't give people any more money because there's no more money to give them. Like, we budget. I mean, we're good. We're not living week to week or month to month. John is a fantastic finance person, as far as I know. He could be terrible and we could be completely broke. I don't really know. But we typically have like a year or two runway, and we budget that way. And that includes, like, we try to make sure we're including like salaries and things like that as much as we can. So I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know what took me down this. The whole thing with PHP Ugly, the Patreons, the sponsorships have just the amount of stress it takes us off of, like, oh, we need a mic, we need a budget for a mic, and this has really kind of been really appreciated. But yeah, we don't, to Tom's point, we don't see that money. Like, personally, we don't see that. I mean, look at this. I've got a mic here in front of me that I would never have, had I not, like, had a podcast and, been the owner of a company. But it's, yeah. Where was it going? Tom, did you want to interrupt? I think you had some doom and gloom you wanted to
Yes, I've been embezzling. Doom and gloom. It's the only right way to end this show. Massive password leak. I believe they're calling it the largest password leak in history. Boy, it would have been nice to put this as a Trello card, wouldn't it?
It's on my list.
Oh, is it?
You have a list?
Yeah. Isn't it on my Trello list?
Oh, it is. Largest password breach. Dude, we have show notes this week. That's awesome.
Yeah, 3.2 billion leaked passwords. The article goes on to point out that 4.7 billion users use the internet, so 3.2 is a pretty significant number of that total internet usage.
Granted, that 3.2 billion isn't unique, so it's not like 3.2 billion of the 4 billion users.
Yeah. So combining this with historical password breaches and stuff like that comes to 8.4 billion unique password variations that have been used at some point, and pretty terrifying. You can go to Have I Been Pwned, put in your email address, and see which leaks you've been affected by. You can even see some of the pastes that supposedly have your email addresses in them.
But I was gonna say, that's the problem, is it only tells you if your email address was obtained in a leak.
It gives you a breakdown of which leaks and which data was obtained. So you actually get a breakdown by company and year of when this happened. And many password managers actually have tools, like audit tools in them that let you go through site by site and change all your passwords, which I recommend people, actually go through and do. Also, two-factor authentication. Like we saw in the Keystone XL pipeline, they did not have two-factor authentication on one of their VPNs, and that's where people got, or not the Keystone, Colonial pipeline.
Colonial pipeline.
Oh, great.
So yeah, get two-factor authentication on all your stuff as fast as you can. It's not a guarantee that you're going to be safe, but it's at least another layer of protection. Protects you against password leaks.
And use a password manager.
Yeah, absolutely use a password manager.
Use a password manager.
And then, of course, Fastly going down, exposing that, large swaths of the internet have a single point of failure, which isn't great.
Were you going somewhere like that, or was that how you were ending?
I was
confused.
I'm trying to pick it up. I don't know.
This
where
is
it's
a
going.
story I gave John last week because I knew it would cause some eye rolling. But there was a cyber attack against the world's largest meat processing company last week.
Oh yeah, you did share that.
And this is the kind of thing that we have to be sort of extra vigilant of, is like, yeah, whole industries can be brought to their knees very quickly.
I'm sorry. Your cat in the corner there is freaking me out. If you look in your camera, your
It's
whole
just eyes.
bed is like dark.
Just
and
eyes in the darkness.
It's just so weird. Sorry, visual. If you're listening to the audio podcast, go to YouTube, fast forward to the end, and see this piece. All right, back to your story.
Yeah, we should all be generally concerned that whole industries can be taken down with single attacks by either government sponsored hackers or independent hackers. That getting those disaster recovery and emergency plans seems like it's kind of a good idea. That's all I got for doom and gloom this week. I just figured I'd sneak it in at the end.
That's where it belongs.
Right at the butt of the podcast.
Alrighty, that's going to do it. Episode 240 is in the can. I'm Eric.
I'm John.
I'm Tom. Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly.
1, 2,
That's
1,
naughty.
2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John. You know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all.
Oh yeah.
I like these. I like these keycaps.
Yeah.
Expensive.
Well,
though.
$10 a piece isn't bad. Is it?
Yeah, it is. For a key, For a key on the keyboard? Yeah, that's a lot.
Get the space key. Maximize your value.
See, but I don't have a space bar like a normal freaking
Well, that's
space
you.
bar.
That's just weird.
Oh, you're weird. I'm
Eric,
awesome.
we had a few more applicants join. Did you see that?
I haven't looked, but we really need to get interviews going, I think.
If you need help with interviews, let me know. I'm doing them all the time now. You can kill the Zencaster.
Tell me what to do. Fuck off.
My wife bought a smart scale.
Like this?
It has made an enemy for life. One second.
Oh, holy crap, John.
What?
Got quite a few people sign up. What are you talking about?
Yeah, there's only one more from the US though.
Where are we at with that?
I don't know.
That was your homework this week.
I started looking earlier today. Haven't gotten anywhere with it though.
I have, since we're off recording. I know we're still streaming, so everybody in Discord, everybody hanging out, you get some bonus gossip here, some bonus juiciness. It looks like I will be interviewing Otwell for PHP Architect next month.
Oh yeah.
And the reason I bring that up is because I think I'm going to ask, not for the article, but for us, I think I'm going to ask him how he handles his foreign employees. Because he says they're all Laravel employees, so I'm wondering how they're doing it as opposed to how we're doing it. Because, I mean, he only has, like, what, 4, 5, 6 employees at Laravel, and I think only 1 or 2 of them are US-based. So it's a similar situation, like not a big company, not a lot of people, so I'm wondering how they're handling it.
You should ask him about software versioning too. Just, like what's he think about doing it the right way?
He's going to say he is doing it the right way.
Hey, Thomas, I think you're muted. You say something?
Almost checked for a second.
Dude, we got so many people applying now.
Dude, you guys, this M1,
Oh,
it
fuck
is so
sakes.
nice.
You didn't talk to during the show. I got to give you that. I tell you what, I saw that universal control, and I'm like, fuck, that would be nice. Because that's actually how I use my iPad now. It's like another, like I don't do the sidecar. Like I never really got into the sidecar thing or what's it called? Sidecar?
Sidecar?
I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
But yeah, where it was another monitor. But I wanted it. So this mouse I have has the ability to connect to multiple computers, but you physically have to click the button to change it. So one of these settings is for the iPad.
It's synergy.
And
it's just synergy.
Yeah. But there is no... fuck, dude, I know what it is, but there is no synergy on the fucking iPad.
With good reason. It's a touch interface.
So that's my point. I don't know why I hang out with you. I don't know why I'm... That's what Apple's fucking doing, though. So it's... You have your mouse, you have your keyboard, and you can go from your Mac to your iPad seamlessly. Yeah, they make it.
No, it is.
Seamless.
It is.
I don't know how seamless that.
I have a friend who does Mac stuff, all Mac stuff.
Whatever. I have this friend who has a cousin who had an iPhone. That
He's telling me, like,
him on.
when he's got something on his phone and he wants it on his computer, like, he'll take a picture, and then he'll just swipe it over to his computer.
We've said
cool.
that. It's like if you buy. Oh my fucking god! How is it so cool now? When a year ago, when we're telling you about buying into this ecosystem, you were saying, "Oh, but it's fucking evil. It's horrible."
It was overpriced.
And
it
it's
still almost is.
Oh, I can't hang with you. Honest to God, how hypocritical you are on these fucking topics drives me up the fucking wall.
Yeah, but it gets listeners.
I swear to God.
I hadn't seen how good some of these integrations are. And what they're doing with the watch is very strange. They're like turning it into a medical device.
I mean, it makes sense.
It makes
though.
sense, yeah. Like, it's kind of the tricorder model. But, I mean, it's obvious that their target audience with the watch is not teenagers.
I have not regretted going to the Linux desktop since doing it. Like, it's just been such a pleasure. But that's the one thing I wish I had, because I do, like, I honest to God don't think I'm going to try not to use my laptop anymore. And when I travel, just doing the iPad and doing the SSH thing to my desktop. But like having like Slack or something running here and being able to like scroll my mouse over and just type in there.
Well, that was
God, I would love
that was
to
the
have
thing that was missing from this WWDC, which is I was really anticipating them saying M1 apps work on both devices. Xcode for iPad.
Oh.
Xcode for iPad would have been big. And I think they're waiting they're waiting to release a lower version of the iPad M1 before they do that. Or an M1 phone.
I bought my kid a M1 iPad.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that's what I bought him. Yeah. So Emily, finished up her nursing programming. Nursing program. She still has to take her state tests and stuff, but she finished up her nursing program. Or no, it's not her degree. So she's still going to go get a bachelor's degree in nursing, but this was another, I don't know how.
So going for
details.
an
It's
RN
another program that
thing. Yeah.
Right. This allows her to become an actual nurse. So she asked for a new iPad. So I ordered it. I didn't realize I was ordering the M1. I just ordered, what was there, and it turns out like it's not coming for like another month.
Yeah.
So I'm like, God damn, I'm sorry. And this was like 2-3 weeks ago I did it. I feel bad.
Well, it's a nice. You're gonna fall in love with it though. The speed of these chips is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean,
I haven't been impressed with speed for a while. It's so minor.
I
mean,
touch
I guess
the mouse enough.
And again, this is I totally understand this is a privileged thing. I mean, even when we were using Macs, we got the higher end Macs. So like speed, we've always kind of topped out the speed. It's like they say, oh, look at this big speed improvement. It's really not the big of a speed improvement. It's a big one if you're coming from a lower end.
Well, but that's
machine,
the thing is that the M1 is 50% faster than the fastest Intel chip you used to be able to get. So it's not a small incremental change. It's a huge change.
It doesn't translate that much to me.
My experience with Visual Studio and with compile times on Node and stuff like that, it's just unbelievable. I mean, smoothness is the name of the game in Apple's world. Is just if the interface feels smooth, that's what they want. And I'm blown away by how quickly everything works. All the task switching, all the stuff like that. And this is running on an ultra-wide monitor, so it's running at like 4092 by 1080 or something like that. It's pretty nice.
Apple's newest fanboy.
Exactly.
I'm getting there, man.
Well, it ain't hard. No, you're not getting there. You're fully there. You're 100%.
Well, I'm looking at phones. I'm looking at phones
you.
right now. And there's no reason for me to change phones. Like, whatsoever.
I will say this. If Google stops producing a Pixel phone, I may consider going to Apple. I don't think I can ever go back to a phone that isn't from the person
From the
providing
first
the
party,
OS. Like,
yeah.
At least, yeah. The experience with Pixel has been such a drastic change from all the other Android devices I had that had like Guck on it from AT&T or from it's just like all the Samsung stuff.
then Pixel going from version 4 to version 5 was such a disappointment.
Yeah, and the new Android is like not looking that much more interesting either.
Well, there's not so much more they can do on it. Well, you have a Pixel 5, John?
No. When I was looking, there wasn't enough difference between the 4 and the 5 to justify changing.
Yeah, I don't know which one I have, but I'm not happy with it because I lost the fingerprint reader on the back, which I really miss. But
that would be annoying not to have.
It totally is. It's 100% annoying. I mean the
so you
face
have the
recognition.
Is that the 4A?
How do I tell? How do I tell what it is?
I don't know.
The face recognition is fantastically quick on this. However, doesn't work with the mask on. It's like, God damn it, where's the fucking fingerprint reader?
Yeah,
Welcome to every iPhone user's pain.
If somehow Apple releases an M1 phone, that might be something I'd be interested in switching to. But looking at Android phones right now, like, why would I?
I'm telling you, man, you better pump the brakes on the M1 stuff just for a little while. Let them get a couple revs under their belt. Apple will fucking drop it like a fucking bad habit if they're not making enough money off of it. Or they'll start to produce them cheaper and cheaper to try to make more money off of it. Everybody talks like this M1 is the second coming of fucking Christ.
Have you used it yet?
It's another fucking processor. Dude, listen to me. I don't fucking have to use it. I'm talking to you through experience. It's a niche processor for one company. Yes, they are a big computer company right now, but so was HP at one time. So was Dell. Everybody's, AMD is going to be the next big thing because this big computer manufacturer is using it. It's like, it's the same fucking story we live year after year. It's just the fanboys change. Now it's, Apple has.
You haven't been following AMD lately,
dude,
have you?
Saying, oh my fucking God, dude. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying give it some time. Let's make sure they're committed to it. It's like you're so hyped up on this version, this first initial release of this processor in the open market. It's like, give it some time. Stop being such a fanboy. Jesus Christ. It doesn't look good on you.
Nothing looks good on me, according to my scale. Bastard's gonna die in the middle of the night.
Does it talk to you?
It does like BMI stuff and like
Oh,
bone
God.
density and like small criticisms about my alcohol intake.
What did you eat today? Should you have eaten that? Probably not.
I'm so frustrated because I finally, on mine, got down below that 25 BMI. And like 25 is the cutover from normal to obese,
Which is bizarre.
So a year and a half ago, I got below 25. Yeah, I haven't seen 25 since.
Yeah, I've seen everyone complaining about all their COVID weight. I'm like, I don't have COVID weight. I've been doing really good, actually. And, my scale was like, you have COVID weight. Thanks, bro. All right.
Big burps.
I'm going to go finish up some movie with the family.
Oh, wait. Yeah.
I'm gonna go decorate for my kid's birthday.
Yeah. Congratulations. Is he the oldest?
Yep.
The one doing the chess?
They're both doing chess. They had chess club today. They're both doing this 4-week chess club, and both of them are like answering all the questions because they've been doing chess on the computer
Queen's
now.
Gambit. Telling you, just get them some methamphetamines. They'll be the best there ever was. All right.
Giving my kid access to the Nintendo Switch tomorrow. That's gonna be fun.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you to our patrons.
Everyone.
Thank you to everybody.